restaurant, you don't have to give them your real name. Did you know that? You can give any name you want. You guys can make a loud party, a fun party. Way over there, the radical party. These folks, the big tipping party. You can give any name you want. So my mom named me Jonathan. She hates the name John. Hates the name John. So when I go to Starbucks, they don't like writing that big long name around the outside of the cup. So they'll shrink it sometimes. And they go, "We have a nice Venti Americano for John." And I look around and say, someone else has good taste in coffee. No, more likely what happens is my Starbucks are loud, they're crazy, the folks write the big long name, but they're in a hurry and they mumble. And they say, "We have a nice Venti Americano for Jean. I go, "What?" So I use a different name. I use the name Max because I have found that when people say Max, they naturally project. They say, "We have a nice Venti Americano for Max." I think that's my coffee. The real reason I use Max, folks, is I choose to live life to the maximum. I want to live every minute and every moment to the maximum. And sometimes I need my barista to remind me in the morning. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now the point is this, folks, is that you have lived most of your life probably with just your first name. And that's your perspective on life. When people interact with you, they are interacting with your first name. And that's our identity, which is fine, except that our customers, our clients, don't have that identity. One of my maxims in life is that we look out of our bodies, we don't look at our bodies. We look out, not at. The problem is our customers, our clients, potential customers are looking at us. And it's important for each of us to change our perspective, because if we keep focusing on our viewpoint, we will miss out on theirs. We will miss out on theirs. So here's how we're going to get started. Next time you go somewhere and then somebody asks you your name, give them a different name. Try it. Remember that time when you were really young, by around 4 years old, you wanted to go by a different name? Yeah. Give them that name. So guys in the audience, I have a real challenge for you. Next time you go into Starbucks and they want your name, be proud, go up to the counter and go to say, "My name is Sally." Ladies, I'll give you a little easier one. What you're going to do is you're going to go there when they ask for your name, you're going to say, "Good looking." There's nothing better in the morning when someone looks at you dead in the eye and says, "You want room for cream? Good looking." See, the point, folks, is that you know your organization, you know the products and services that your organization provides. You know, and because that gives you money, right? You have income, gives you food, shelter, gives you an incredible lifestyle. The problem is your customers and clients, even if they know about your product or service, they don't care whether you're able to pay your bills. They don't care about your big lifestyle. And so it's important for us to change our perspective from the client's perspective. For instance, some time ago, one of my copywriting seminars, I had a client, and he is the voice for a famous women's handbag. And so he has to write in this voice that sounds like Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City. That's his job. And I met him. So anyway, when we're looking at it, the reason this becomes important is because the old days, we used to be able to hit people over the head with our branding messages, our marketing messages. And we used to be able to just slam them with all these impressions. Literally taking a brand and hitting them on the butt with it and scarring them for the rest of their lives. That's how we used to do it. It was the equivalent of the caveman walking out with his club, hitting the lady over the top of the head, grabbing her by the hair and dragging her to the cave. It doesn't work anymore. Or does it? Does it? Yeah, just checking. So the process that I've developed is what we call wooing. Think of courtship. Courtship. Instead of branding our clients, instead of dragging them off to the cave, think of as courting them, as wooing them. As wooing them. So here's where I need your help. We're going to move from ew to woo. Okay? From ew to woo. So what's going to happen is when something is ew today, what you're going to do is this hand motion. Okay, try this. Okay? Now what you're going to do is add the ew to it. So here we go. Ready? Ew. All right. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to woo, so woo is the opposite. Woo goes this way. Exactly. So let's do it. Woo. We're not going to do what? Ew. We are going to do woo. All right, so there's 3 stages to the wooing process. 3. The first one's attraction. The second is conversation. The third is dating. Attraction, conversation, dating. So when you meet someone for the first time, a client or a customer, and there's that attraction stage, their attraction stage. You know, when we're meeting people face to face, it is important that you realize that you have 1 to 4 seconds to make a first impression. 1 to 4 seconds. That first impression will last with you the rest of your relationship with that person. So for instance, let's say you meet me for the first time. You meet me for the first time, and you say, God, he's a jerk. Right? So you've had that experience, say, God, he's a jerk. And then you get to know me for a little while, and you say, he's not bad for a jerk. When I first met him, he came across as a jerk, but he really isn't. And then finally it'd be something like, well, I really like this guy, but he comes across as a jerk to some people. See, that sticks with us. It's the same thing with our organizations. When we first meet somebody, whatever that person, when their first branding impression, the first time they interact with our organization or a company, the first time they interact, that's going to last forever, forever. So we have to pay attention to that first. But it gets worse. It's not about first impressions. Think of how many impressions you're getting, how many branding and marketing impressions you're getting. Depending on which study you follow, that's between 1,500 and 3,000 branding images a day. 1,500 to 3,000. So if you just think about that, people are just getting inundated with this. So what's going to make you attractive in this field of at least 3,000 very, very attractive organizations? And you've had that experience, haven't you? You've watched an ad and you really liked it. You don't know what the heck they're talking about, what they're selling, who the company is. Yeah, so that was somebody really good looking walking by. You say, wow, that person's good looking, but you didn't get the message. So that's where this all comes into play. If you go somewhere to like a mall to an airport where there's hundreds of people walking by, in any half hour, you are going to be aware, physically aware of about 10 people. Either the really good looking or the oddly shaped. The other hundreds of people that are walking by, you won't be aware of them, you won't take notice of them. So think about that for your organization. Same thing, 3,000 branding images going by. You're only going to recognize a few of them. Why you? Why you? And why your organization? And then what would be the next step? Now if you think about it, some good looking person walks by and says, man, that person's hot. So what good is that? That doesn't do anything for us. At some point we need to engage them, don't we? Right? And so that takes a little bit of nerve, takes a little bit of guts to walk up and start a conversation with them. And that's the conversation stage. Conversation stage. So for instance, does this work? Someone's going by and I walk up to the person and say, gosh, you're hot. Can I have your number? That's what? That's what? Yeah. You guys missed it. All right. Ew. Jerk. Yeah. So we don't want to be on the ooh side of things. See, what we want to do is engage them in conversation, and that's the what? Woo side, yes, the woo side. And that's what's important, folks, to understand. The conversation stage is always negative. They're trying to find a reason not to like you, not to date you, not to give the phone number, not to read your email, not to stay on your website. They're looking for reasons not to engage with you in any way. And that's what we have to keep in mind, the conversation side of things. So it's better to engage and to talk to them. What is important to them? What do they find attractive? What are their interests? Because does it work to walk up and say, ask for too much of a commitment too soon? Does that work? Yeah. Walk up and say, hey, you know what? We both know what we want. Why don't we just skip this place and go straight to my house? What is that? What is that? Or what if I meet a lady for the first time, we're just talking, said, oh, I really like you. I want you to come to Sunday dinner and meet my parents. See, what we want to do is woo them through, first of all, engaging them in conversation. Engage them in conversation, inviting them, and then making small commitments. Not jumping all the way to let's get married, small commitments. And that's what creates the dating process, making small commitments. And if you think of the old concept of the sales funnel, see, originally the idea was maybe a seduction model where we trick you into buying cheap little products, and then we keep worming and worming our way down, and you keep buying more and more expensive stuff. But to change the perspective now, to see that as inviting them, courting them into a relationship, wooing them into a relationship. I was giving a seminar one time, I was talking through this process, and the lady asked, she was a little disturbed about all this talk of dating. She said, well, why can't we ever get to marriage? And I said, the reason is because you never have clients that have a lifetime commitment to you. Right? You never do. And so during the dating stage of things, it's very, very important to focus on the relationships we already have and to keep wooing them. Because the tendency is we keep marketing out there, we keep trying to attract new clients, new customers in, engaging them in conversations, inviting them to join us, right? But the problem is if we let these fall apart and let these relationships fall, then what happens is we take them for granted. And this is a common process. And if you've ever been in a long-term relationship that wasn't successful, you know how that happens. You know that process where you begin to take each other for granted. So even with our current customers, we still want to work through the wooing process, to invite them, to pay attention to what they find attractive, to engage them in conversation, find out what's important to them, and keep that relationship developing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See, because that's what we're looking at, folks. It's not that we always have them. They can always be wooed. They can always be taken from somebody else, because we are always in a dating relationship. So whenever we're working with clients, whether they're current clients or future clients, it's important to sit and focus on, first of all, be attracting them. Because we want them to come to us. We want them to come and interact with us. What looks good to us? What attracts them? And then to engage them in conversation. So the focus on our clients and customers is this. We want to focus on what's attracted to them. Once we know what's attracted to them, focus on that conversation, draw them in, ask them what's important to them, and through a series of commitments, we get them to a relationship. We don't just stay in a relationship, we focus on that, and that's where the woo comes from. Ladies and gentlemen.